Hello everyone. I'm new to YouTube. This is my first video, or channel for that matter. I've decided to start putting up a thought of the day on things that have bothered me that nobody really wants to take the time to listen to in regular day-to-day life, and that seem to be obvious truths that people either can't see or don't agree with. So I'm going to share my thoughts of the day. If I start posting thoughts and you have something to say and you want to debate the point in a thoughtful manner, I would be happy to start a second channel for purposes of that. I think debate is a very healthy, positive thing, and we don't have enough of it. We have a lot of argument. We don't have much debate. Probably also going to start a channel on video games because it's another interest of mine. It's generally review and what I would like to see done differently. As for my thoughts of the day, they're generally going to be what most people would consider anecdotes or stories that aren't substantiated or proven. In a lot of cases it's observations. I would disagree with the premise of unsubstantiated, which is what people really are saying when they say anecdotes. These are objective, lifelong observations. But there are no studies to substantiate them. I don't think that there are, and I understand why people would be critical or not readily accept an observation that doesn't match their own, that isn't substantiated. Actually, I'll have a few thoughts of the day on that specific point at some point. What you see in front of you is my thought of the day for today, which is as follows. Not that you can't read it yourself or already have. Too many people confuse a society isn't fair argument for a world isn't fair argument. Now, the reason I have a problem with this is because there's a fundamental difference, and they're putting the arguments in interchangeable boxes and using that to dismiss both. World isn't fair, life isn't fair. This is true. This is not an arguable point. People are not created equal, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't have equal rights. Things happen. They're not always somebody's fault. Life isn't fair, right? The actual issue, though, for most people, when most people are talking about a something isn't fair situation, is actually a social problem. There's a fundamental difference between a social problem and a life isn't fair argument. A social problem is a problem that exists within the parameters of society. It's structured. It was created. It was made by and for humans. And as such, it can be changed, and it shouldn't be unfair. If it is, it's a problem. It's a problem, obviously, right on the surface and inherently, but it's also a problem in terms of the repercussions and the sustainability. You can't have a fundamentally flawed social structure and believe that people will abide by it unless you're delusional. People will violate rules. Some people suggest that people violate rules because that's what people are and that's what people do. And there's a certain amount of truth to that. It's the exception. The more unfair the rules are, the more certain it is that people will violate them. There's a direct link. problems enter when you try to keep people on the level by injecting punishment. It's not that you can't or shouldn't use punishment, it's that if you're trying to keep people functioning within the parameters of an imbalanced system with punishment, first they have the immediate problem of their actual life being as or more punitive than any punishment that you might impose, which renders the punishment meaningless as a deterrent. Also, their real-life consequences are immediate. They suffer those consequences continuously. Punishment is a maybe. It's only going to happen if they get caught. It doesn't matter if they get caught or not, if living their life by the rules is a punishment in and of itself. Compensating for this by creating ever more harsh punishments doesn't actually deter it either, because at some point you tip over the median point, and what happens is people oppose your system based upon the fact that the system exists. It no longer matters whether or not their lives are more punitive than the punishment. The punishment is so draconian that people oppose the system based upon that alone. You can't fix broken with broken. It doesn't work. This is not to say that two wrongs don't make a right, because that's actually often heard parable that isn't actually particularly accurate the way it's used. Doing something bad can be justice for something bad. However, when the bad is always on the same side of the line, this is a different story. I think that's enough for my first thought of the day. Again, if anybody wants to debate any of these points respectfully, I'd be happy to. I think it helps people to grow their ideas and their critical thinking skills to do so. Many more to come.